The Clarkson family lived in the countryside near Cambridge, in a big old house with a beautiful garden filled with colorful flowers and tall, ancient trees. The house was about half a mile from the nearest village and a mile from the river. One hot July morning, Mark walked into the kitchen to get a drink of water. She was a tall, heavy woman, around 30 years old, and despite the heat, she wore a warm brown skirt and a yellow shirt. Just as she reached for a glass, the phone rang. Cambridge 1-3-7-9, Mark answered. "Hello, this is Lena. I want to talk to Mother," a familiar voice said. "Mother isn't here," Mark replied. "She's at the doctor's." "Why? What's wrong?" Lena asked. "Nothing's wrong," Mark said shortly. "Why are you calling? Are we still meeting this weekend?" "Mother wants everyone to come," Lena reminded her. "Yes, of course," Mark said. "Good. But I have a problem. I don't have money for the train ticket," Lena said. Mark sighed, her patience thinning. "Mother is always giving you money, Lena. This phone call is expensive," Lena replied coldly. "Just tell her, please." "I need the money." Mark put the phone down without another word. She reached into her bag, took out a cigarette, and lit it, exhaling in frustration. Lena was always asking for money. At 20 years old, she lived alone in a small rented room in London, dreaming of becoming a singer. She had a beautiful voice, but she never seemed to find work. As Mark turned back to the kitchen, the back door opened. Her mother, Molly, walked in, taking off her hat and setting it on the table. Two large black dogs followed her, tails wagging as they nuzzled against her legs. "It's so hot today," Molly murmured, brushing her dark hair from her face. "Mother," Mark started hesitantly. Lena called. "She wants money, for her train ticket." Molly closed her eyes for a moment, then straightened. "This afternoon, I want you to get the house ready for the weekend," she said. "And please go to the village later and pick up my medicine." "Yes, Mother," Mark said, sensing her mother's exhaustion. As Molly turned to leave, Mark hesitated before speaking again. "Wait, Mother. Peter Hobbs came by this morning. He was very upset about that letter you sent to his office. He lost his job because of it. He says he wants to talk to you." Molly's expression didn't change. "I don't want to talk to him," she said firmly. "But, Mother," Mark protested, "he's only 17. It was his first job. He's very angry. He said he's going to kill you." Molly didn't react. She simply walked out of the room and closed the door behind her. By Saturday evening, everyone had arrived for the family gathering. Mark stood by the window, watching as a car slowly pulled up to the house. A tall man with white hair stepped out. "Uncle Albert," Mark muttered. Always late, she opened the front door, and Albert walked in, heading straight for Molly. "Oh dear, I am very late," Albert said cheerfully. 50 years old today. "What a wonderful dress." Molly, dressed in an elegant black gown, did not smile. "Thank you, Albert. We're all getting older." Her two black dogs sat obediently at her feet. "Everyone is here now. Let's go to dinner," she said. At the table, Lena admired the flowers. "The table looks beautiful, Mark." "What wonderful flowers." Albert sat next to Roger, Molly's son, who lived in an expensive house in Cambridge. As they began eating, Albert turned to Molly. "Someone named Peter stopped me on the road. He was furious." "Who is he?" Mark quickly answered. "That's Peter Hobbs. He lost his job last week, and he's upset with everyone." "No," Albert corrected. "It's you he doesn't like, Molly." Molly said nothing and continued eating. "How's Aunt Annie?" Mark asked Albert. "Much worse," Albert sighed. "She stays in bed all the time. She needs a nurse, day and night." "I'm sorry," Molly said quietly. Albert frowned. "Annie feels terrible because you never visit. She loves you, Molly. You're her little sister, Molly closed her eyes briefly. I know, Albert laughed bitterly. It's always later with you, Molly. Always tomorrow, never today. Mark noticed her mother's hands tightening on her napkin. Molly hated talking about Annie. Lena, that's a beautiful dress. Is it new? Mark asked, trying to change the subject. Yes, it's new, and very expensive, Lena said with a smile. Like all your things, Mark muttered, remembering Lena's phone call asking for money. I don't like cheap things, Lena said casually. And soon, I'll need more money. I want to go to America. Roger shook his head. No one wants to help you, Lena. You don't like working, and we all know that, Lena only laughed. It doesn't matter, Roger. I don't need your help. Mother always helps me. She loves me best. Mark glanced at Molly. Her mother's face had turned pale. Molly suddenly stood up. I know why you're all here. You don't love me, you only want my money. Well, you can wait. Nobody gets anything until I die. Mother, don't say that, Mark pleaded, but Molly didn't listen. I'm going to bed, she declared. As she left the room, silence filled the space. One day, Lena said softly, I'm going to kill that woman. No one spoke. Early the next morning, a scream shattered the silence. Roger sat up in bed, heart pounding. He checked the clock, almost 7 a.m. He rushed out of his room and saw Lena standing in the hallway, her face white. Roger, Mother's dead, she whispered. I brought her coffee, and I found her like that. She's dead. Roger hurried into their mother's room. The window was open, but the air inside was warm. Molly lay on the bed, one hand under her head. He touched her arm, cold. On the table beside her was a full cup of coffee and an empty one. I'm calling the doctor, Lena said. Roger stared at his mother's lifeless form. She's dead, he murmured. Downstairs, Lena called Dr. Pratt. My mother, she's dead. Please come quickly. She turned to Roger, her voice shaking. It isn't real. First, Father died last winter, and now Mother. Don't cry, Lena, Roger said, though he felt nothing but a strange, empty relief. Lena's expression suddenly hardened. You don't care. You just want her money. Roger clenched his fists. Be quiet, he snapped. You wanted her money too. Lena wiped her tears and walked to the kitchen. The two black dogs ran to her, and she knelt beside them. Daddy loved you, and Mother loved you. Now I'll love you. She opened the back door and walked outside with the dogs. Roger stood by the telephone, his thoughts heavy. He was rich now. His life would be easier. But why didn't he love his mother more when she was alive? Upstairs, Dr. Pratt examined Molly's body and the coffee cups. His face darkened. Roger, he said, I have to call the police. Albert King was not happy that morning. He usually played tennis on Sunday mornings, and he was one of the best players at the Cambridge Tennis Club. But today was different. Inspector Walsh entered the room, followed by Sergeant Foster. Albert looked down at his feet as the inspector spoke. I'm going to ask you some questions, Mr. King, Inspector Walsh said in a calm voice. And Sergeant Foster will write everything down, Albert sighed. Yes, I know. It's your job. Tell me about last night, the inspector continued. You were angry with Mrs. Clarkson. Albert finally looked up at the inspector. Yes, I was. Everyone was. Roger was angry. Lena wanted money to go to America. Tom Briggs wanted half the garden for his farm. And me? I needed money because my wife, Annie, Molly's sister, is very ill. I told Molly this. What happened next? Molly got angry with everyone and went upstairs. The rest of us went to the kitchen for coffee. Mark wanted everyone to go upstairs and say goodnight to Molly. She lived with her, so she wanted her to be happy. At first, Roger refused. He was still angry and didn't want to see his mother. Did you see Molly in her room? Yes. I was tired and went upstairs first. I went into Molly's room and asked her for money again. But no, there was no money for her sister. Albert stopped speaking and put a hand over his eyes. The inspector watched him closely. Did you hear any noises after you went to bed? Everyone went into Molly's room to say goodnight. Later, I think I heard someone going downstairs. It was around midnight. Very well, Mr. King. Thank you. You can go now. Albert left the room. Inspector Walsh leaned back in his chair. What time is it? He asked. I'm hungry. We're learning a lot, but I need some coffee. Shall I go to the kitchen? Sergeant Foster offered. Oh no, later. Let's talk to Mark Clarkson next. Mark entered and sat down. She looked down at her hands, silent. We found the empty bottle of your mother's sleeping tablets in Lena's room, the inspector said suddenly, watching for a reaction. Mark's face remained calm. She didn't say a word. Did your mother usually take sleeping tablets? Yes, Mark replied. She took one every night, so she needed a lot of them. Sometimes she bought them herself, and sometimes I did. On Thursday, I asked Peter Hobbs to get them. He lives across the road and often goes to the village on his bicycle. I see. Your mother wanted to stay in this house. How about you? Did you want to move? Mark hesitated. This is my mother's house. I loved her. She was good to me. Did you see her last night? Yes. Everyone did. Lena made hot milk and took it to her. Mother usually drank hot milk before bed. Inspector Walsh leaned back. What did your mother say? Mark opened her bag and took out a cigarette. Can I smoke? Of course. This is your house, the inspector said. He watched her carefully. Mark took a deep breath. She wanted to go downstairs again. She remembered the dogs and wanted to feed them. I went to my room, and she went downstairs. What time was that? I don't remember. About midnight, I think, and a cup of hot milk. It was on the table by her bed. Did you need your mother's money? Mark exhaled slowly. No, Inspector. Money is not important to me. There are more important things. Well, your Uncle Albert needed money. Tom Briggs wanted the garden. You wanted nothing. Mark crushed her cigarette in the ashtray and looked up. Her eyes were suddenly filled with anger. Don't forget Peter Hobbs, she said coldly. He lost his job because of my mother. He wanted to kill her, you know. And what about Lena? You found the empty bottle in her bag. Inspector Walsh nodded. We're going to question everyone, Miss Clarkson. Mark was silent for a moment. Then she stood up. Would you like some sandwiches and coffee, Inspector? Ah, yes, please, Inspector Walsh said warmly. I would like that very much. As Mark left the room, the inspector thought about her sudden anger. What was she hiding? After coffee and sandwiches, Inspector Walsh called Roger Clarkson into the room. Now, Mr. Clarkson, the inspector began, why was your mother angry with you last night? Roger sighed. This house is too big. It was too much work for my mother. I wanted her to move, but she loved this place. Tell me about your job, Mr. Clarkson. Your mother is dead, and now you're rich. Did you need money? Roger's face changed. His expression was suddenly full of fear. I do need money, that's true. A friend and I want to build 10 houses here in this garden. We can make a lot of money. But I didn't kill my mother. The inspector watched him carefully. We found the empty bottle of sleeping tablets in Lena's room. Roger's face did not change. Oh, someone put it there. Lena didn't kill my mother. I know that. She found the body. Very well. I'd like to see Lena next. Roger left the room. The inspector stood up and walked to the window. Why was Roger Clarkson afraid? He murmured. Is it important? Then he turned to Sergeant Foster. Tomorrow morning, go to Mr. Clarkson's office. Ask some questions about his job. His friends, his money. Yes, Inspector, a good day for tennis, the inspector said. Sergeant Foster laughed. Don't say that. It's not easy, you know. I don't like sitting here while the sun is shining. Just then, Lena entered the room. She smiled at Sergeant Foster. I saw you at the tennis club last month, she said. You play very well. Sergeant Foster's face turned red. Inspector Walsh raised an eyebrow. Oh yes, a fast and exciting player, our Sergeant Foster. Lena smiled again, and the sergeant's face got even redder. Well, Miss Clarkson, the inspector said, bringing the conversation back to the case, tell me about last night. Lena stopped smiling. Oh, I can talk about last night. I can't stop talking about it. We were all angry. Mother went to bed early. I made hot milk for her. We were all in the kitchen when Peter Hobbs arrived. He nearly broke the back door down. Why? He was furious about a letter. He wanted to kill my mother. Inspector Walsh nodded. We're going to talk to him. Good. And Tom Briggs was there too. Are you going to question him? We're going to question everyone. Lena hesitated. I didn't like my mother. Inspector. She killed my father, you know. Last winter, after Christmas, she drove the car into a tree. He died because of her. Inspector Walsh watched her face carefully. I see. So you wanted to kill her? Lena laughed bitterly. I wanted to, but I didn't. She leaned forward. Inspector, everyone wanted Mother dead. She listed them one by one. Albert needed money for his sick wife. Roger had an expensive lifestyle. Mark had lost someone she loved because of Mother's rules. Inspector Walsh listened carefully. He had heard enough. Lena, he said quietly, we found the empty bottle of sleeping tablets in your room. Lena jumped up, her face full of shock and anger. What? I didn't put it there, she shouted. I'm not going to listen to this. She stormed out of the room. Inspector Walsh sighed. Well, he said. She likes you, Sergeant. Be careful. Sergeant Foster laughed, but his face was still red. Someone put sleeping tablets in Molly's hot milk, the inspector said. Everyone was in the kitchen last night. Peter Hobbs and Tom Briggs were there too. One of them killed Molly. He grabbed his hat. Come on, let's go talk to Peter and Tom. But first, let's get some more coffee.